The 12-inch MacBook is the roadster of notebook computers, and now it comes in pink. Here's what I think about it. Hey YouTube, thanks for tuning in. This is Jason with Maslin Tech, and here with me I have a 2016 rose gold Retina MacBook. This is the M5 model with 8 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig SSD. It retails for about $1,500, but you can pick up the new MacBooks starting around $1,300. The computer's Core M line of CPUs is one of the MacBook's most limiting factors. Compared to the i5 of the MacBook Air, I notice stuttering and extended load times in several applications. They aren't frustratingly slow most of the time, but not what you'd expect out of a $1,500 machine. The slower CPU is counteracted with a fast SSD and 8 gigs of 1866 MHz low-power DDR3 memory. For everyday use, 8 gigs is plenty, and it was never stressed out in my testing. The SSD is pulling in pretty good speeds. However, in my tests, mine seemed to be pulling lower numbers than it should. To round out the horsepower, we have an Intel 515 graphics chip on board. It handles the Mac OS and Apple's own apps swimmingly, but gaming and higher-end Adobe apps won't be too much fun on here. Rocket League will maintain a playable frame rate with all settings on performance and running at 720p, but adjust any of those settings and frame rate can get into the single digits fast. I didn't notice much, if any, thermal throttling after about 25 minutes of play. I tested out a lighter indie game, Salt and Sanctuary, and the MacBook handled it just fine without adjusting any settings. Dropping the resolution down from native to 1680 by 1050 made it run perfectly. I didn't try out any AAA titles, but that's not what this computer is made for. The biggest drawback in gaming on the MacBook is not having a built-in port to plug in my controller. A big part of owning this MacBook is the design. It's small enough to take with you pretty much anywhere, and can even fit in a tablet sleeve of most bags. The angles are sharp, and the overall slim profile is eye-catching, especially in rose gold. This is the newest color in Apple's lineup. It has an earthy tone to the color, and can look almost copper under the right lighting. I don't love it as much as the rose gold on the iPhone or iPad though. I think the black bezels and keys don't go as well with the color as white bezels and antenna bands do on the iPhone, but that's just me. The one USB-C port is still here and has surprisingly not been updated to Thunderbolt 3. That means we are stuck with a throughput of 5 gigabits per second. This is still enough to drive a 1440p monitor and accessories over one cable, but in the future when 5K monitors become more mainstream, the MacBook will still be stuck feeding lower resolution options. The keyboard is still Apple's butterfly keyboard that was introduced last year. It has very large keycaps, but very shallow travel. With extended use, I found myself liking the keys more and more, but in the end, I don't type on it as fast as I do a standard keyboard. The trackpad on the MacBook is huge. It occupies the majority of the palm rest and is larger than any other trackpad in Apple's lineup. The Force Touch trackpad is a fantastic piece of engineering. There is no physical click taking place, rather the illusion of clicking down by way of a vibrating motor. The feeling is adjustable, allowing you to dampen the noise if you want. This is on top of the fact that, like on the iPhone, the trackpad can now sense how hard you press down. A Force Touch, as Apple calls it, can present further options contextual to what you clicked on. Think of it like another right click with different functions. Rounding out the MacBook's design is the display. The construction of the housing is now all metal with an integrated hinge. That, combined with the thinner black bezels, give the MacBook a very uniform look. The bezels surround what is, in my opinion, the best MacBook display. The resolution is slightly odd at 2304 by 1440. That works out to about the same pixel density as the other notebook Retina displays, but the image on screen has noticeably less reflection than the other models, giving it wonderfully saturated colors and amazing viewing angles. Sadly, the iconic glowing Apple logo has now been replaced for a mirror logo, like on the iPhone. Last but not least, let's not forget about those speakers. Man, those sound good. They are crazy loud for how small this notebook is, and they don't have much distortion until you get to very high volumes. Seriously, the video does not do them justice. Check them out for yourself. At the beginning of this review, I compared the MacBook to a roadster. I find it to be fitting. It's the bare minimum of what makes a notebook, but the pieces that are there are fantastically made. It's like a small, fun car that will get you from point A to point B. You won't have a back seat to put the family in, and it won't tow too much cargo, but it'll be your weekend car that you want to take out every opportunity you can. And that's it for my review. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.